Monday Night Raw 1/15/24, 12 nights away from the Royal Rumble. Did this show deliver against stiff competition? Monday Night Football, the playoff edition, a big playoff game. And while the dudes are watching the game, their significant others, their girlfriends, fiancés, wives are all watching the Emmy Awards. So WWE had to produce last night. Did they do such? We're going to go over it from top to bottom. Raw from last night, January 15th, 2024. Don't mind the noise in the background. My Green Bay Packer helmet is not taking a piss. That's the Monster 5000 coffee machine. I gotta have a freshly brewed coffee for this review. Something tells me I need a fresh coffee. It's early. It's very early, and I just know I'm going to need a fresh coffee for this review because this is one of those cards that it just feels like WWE's been on cruise control ever since the Day 1 event, 2 Monday Night Raws ago, January 1st. We were coming out of that event with such momentum. Rock plants the seeds for the Roman match finally. There was a good buzz. It really felt like that was the kickoff to WrestleMania season. You don't wait till the Rumble and after. Rumble or WrestleMania season starts right at the top of the year when everybody shows up back to work for WWE. That's when WrestleMania kicks. And Day 1, it was just perfect, that finish. And it really got everybody's just gears going. And then SmackDown dropped the ball. If Monday Night Raw was the quarterback and turned around to hand off to the running back, which is SmackDown, dropped the ball 4 nights later on the 5th of January. Newsworthy show, just not executed properly, just fell off. So we thought, okay, last week's Raw will pick it up where they left off. Last week's Raw, unfortunately, caught the SmackDown bug, and that show last week felt like it was on cruise control. So then we go to SmackDown a few nights ago. Second SmackDown in a row, third WWE show in a row. Cruise control. Nothing really captivating, nothing intriguing, nothing getting your gears winding toward WrestleMania. It's like they have the 2 big Royal Rumble matches, and they're good. They added a fatal 4-way, and they're like, wow, we got a few weeks left. Let's kick back and relax. And these shows really feel that way, right? Mania's in a couple of months, and this show was filled with 4 tag team matches last night. And before you go, well, BC, that's a victory for tag team wrestling then, right? Not so fast. It's tag team matches like Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler versus Nox and Nattie. Or Indy and LeRae versus Green and Niven. Or Priest and Balor versus Miz and R-Truth. So, I mean, that's what I mean. This isn't like you're getting Legion of Doom versus the Hart Foundation or Harlem Heat versus Demolition. It's not the Rockers versus the Killer Bees. It was what it was. It was just Phil. That's what Paul Levesque McMahon. He just fills a lot of these shows with a bunch of random, nonsensical tag matches with a bunch of singles competitors thrown together, and hope that we look at them now as a unified tag team. We'll go over it. Singles matches, there was a couple of singles matches. You had, what were they? Ivar versus Tozowa. And your main event, Sethington Rollins versus Jinder Mahal. So, you're taking on a Monday Night Football playoff. The playoffs last night. The playoffs are on Monday Night Football. And the Emmy Awards. So if you're a couple, right? You got the dude watching his football, you got the gal watching her Emmys. You better hope that something on this show is making them take the remote control, flip back over, and like what they're seeing so much on WWE that they're going to put that remote down. I don't know what it was on this show. We're going to go over it together. I got a fresh coffee. I got at least a half an hour. I'll go overtime if I need to. But I'm willing to talk about it. I got all my notes, a couple of pages. So we're going to go over it together. I got a good probably 70 minutes of sleep, right? Went to bed at around 3 some odd, got up at around 4 some odd. Already hit the gym, so I'm good, man. I'm ready to rock with you guys, and we're going to see. Like maybe I missed something. But these shows are seeming like they're on cruise control. Again, I'll go over these notes. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. I got to fix this coffee up first, and we'll go over this from top to bottom. Wait till you hear how they started. Wait till you hear how Paul Levesque McMahon started this show. It's pretty funny, actually. Let me make this. This is for a shout out to Anthony Bowley. Before I even begin this, man, in the first swig, going over to Anthony Bowley. We did a live stream yesterday. When that live stream went off the air, live, in the comments below, a super thanks by Anthony Bowley, a 50-spot banger bomb is what we call that. A 50 spot. That's a bunch of coffees being chucked at the channel. From Anthony Bowley, who says, sorry BC, didn't catch the stream live. Hopefully we'll get to catch the next one. But here's some coffees. Always appreciate everything you do. BC, La Familia. Much love and respect to you, BC. Well, right back to you, Anthony Bowley. Keep crushing it. Always good to have you live in the chat. But trust me, I know you guys got things to do. Work, school, errands. I get it. And I only give about 20 minutes notice before I go live. At middle of the afternoon, could be the morning, late at night. I always am just so damn random. I always say, make sure you're subscribed and notified. It's the best way you know when BC's going live, because they're basically pop-up live streams. So, Anthony, never have to be sorry for missing a stream, bro. Gold team member, by the way. Anthony Bowley is a gold card, board of director, channel member. So he sports that gold card and still chucked a 50 spot. Bro, this coffee, this review, sponsored basically by Anthony Bowley. So Anthony, first swig, bro. For sure on you. Look at that concoction, huh? You let the cream sit a little bit and then it'll fizzle through the coffee. Makes a much better tasting experience, trust me, because it'll fizzle back down to the mid-ground and eventually back to the bottom. And the sugar will just complement that, by the way. It'll rise at first, but after 5 minutes, will sink. It works best with a Dunkin' original coffee. All right. Anthony Bowley into my amplified unit. Let's do this. Monday Night Raw, January 15th, 2024. 12 days away from the Royal Rumble. Salute. Yep. Let's rock this review, bro. So we started this show. Paul Levesque McMahon. Little bit of trolling here by Paul Levesque McMahon to a promoter from another company. He starts the show with Jinder Mahal arriving to the arena in a limousine. I mean, you reserve that for a mega star, right? Somebody very important, a VIP to the highest of levels, right? You think that's a Roman Reigns, maybe a Brock Lesnar. I don't even think Cody's getting that, right? Maybe he gets the SUV. It's reserved for big stars, those limousine. Maybe it's a McMahon, right? A Shane, a Stephanie, an HHH, or a VKM. No, this was Jinder Mahal. Now, if you guys know what's been going on with Mahal and a promoter from another company, a really sparking outrage that this dude had a championship match last night, which really just put more of a spotlight on Mahal, you know? If not for that, I don't know, going against the playoffs and the Emmys. I never use those as an excuse. If you're putting your best foot forward and putting your best show out there, you're going to compete. Even if you get beat, you're at least going to compete. You're going to pull a good number. Right? So I don't know how many people are tuning in for Seth Rollins and Jinder Mahal. But whatever number they do pull later today when we get the rating, or there was the holiday yesterday, so maybe that's going to be delayed. But whatever rating they pull, you could take a few 100,000 off from that segment 12, the main event segment, because more people are tuning in because it became a polarized matchup when it didn't need to be. So you can thank another promoter for that. But this was Paul Levesque McMahon absolutely just trolling a little bit, right? Jinder Mahal is going to start this. A megastar that he is, riding up in the limousine. It was funny. So then we go into Cody Rhodes kicking it off for the live crowd with an in-ring promo. Drew McIntyre interrupts pretty much instantly, just like CM Punk last night, right? McIntyre is just not sitting in the back anymore. He's just going to come out and just speak his mind. I like this Drew, which is why I don't like what they set up later on in the main event and then for next week. The main event, I'll give a little bit of a spoiler, but I'll expand on this when we get to that part. But he came across Damian Priest last night, and then they set up a match with Priest next week. I don't like this at all. I don't care. BC, there's a little bit of story behind it, so it makes sense. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense because Drew's character is turning more heelish. Damian Priest is part of what is supposed to be the biggest heel faction, or at least looked at as such. So you're just making people, what, cheer for Drew? Are we going to really try to make Drew like this tweener that's going to become so cool he gets cheered? But not for a cheesy smile or with a sword in his hand. It's going to be because he's so cool. Drew just doesn't give any Fs. There's no Fs given, man. Drew's so cool. What are we doing? Have him a diabolical heel going after the faces, man. Paul Levesque McMahon loves these face versus face, heel versus heel, tweener type characters. Too much. Don't overcomplicate what should be simplistic. Pro wrestling at its core is simplistic. It just is. Good guy versus bad guy in an ultimate storyline that's captivating us. We got to pay our money to see how it all finishes, how it all does culminate. Don't complicate it, man. Make us want to see this. Drew McIntyre collecting more and more booze as of late. Awesome. So put him in the dude that already collects booze or just makes people go to sleep. Either collecting booze or Z's is Damian Priest, and I like Priest, but it's just not working. Him with the briefcase is so stupid. He's not going to cash in on anybody, nor should he. He shouldn't be cashing in on Roman or Cody. I don't care if The Rock gets the title. Damian should not be cashing in on Seth Rollins, CM Punk. That's stupid. He's not at that level yet. So you're hoping that him cashing in and winning a championship is going to make the crowd go, I got to support Priest. He's on the map now, man. He's the champ. Doesn't matter. If you ain't ready for it, if there's no connection, you're just going to be Charlie Flair, who's got 14 title reigns and half the audience she still doesn't connect with. Austin Theory, they gave him, 18 U.S. titles? Slight exaggeration. They still pipe in booze for Austin Theory. We've done this experiment time after time. You're thinking, BC, man, it's early in the morning. You just started the coffee. How are you this amplified? Well, I was up even earlier. I already hit the gym and I already had 3 coffees. This is just my first coffee with you guys for the review. But this whole Drew McIntyre thing, man, it's upsetting because I like the trajectory. And then they just throw him in these matches, which is just going to ruin everything. You know? If you start getting a bunch of cheers for Drew next week, well, you just killed what you were trying to create. Because this has been the best Drew we've been seeing. But then they mix him up there with the heels again, and he's just going to be a tweener. And WWE just can't help themselves. Once they see that, they'll start booking him more against the heels. Before you know it, he's got his damn sword back again. Anyway, Drew comes out. Him and Cody have a little bit of a face-to-face. Drew tells Cody, you are going to finish your story, but not before I finish mine. He then tells Cody, stop wearing those stupid suits. You're not running for office. And stop smiling all the time like you're some beacon of light. Bro, that popped BC for sure. That was hilarious because that's BC's biggest pet peeve with Cody Rhodes. And I'm a big supporter of Cody Rhodes. Just because I'm over this whole finish the story nonsense, because that was the storyline for 39. There is no more story going into 40. That's old now. It's passé. I would be down with long-term storytelling for an entire year if you were actually telling the story. But just keeping them apart for the entire year And then 2 months before Mania going, oh, we're going to rekindle the story now. That's not enough to get us pumped up. Forgive me not if I'm not excited after Cody wins a title at WrestleMania 40 or SummerSlam when he didn't do what he should have done at 39. Instead, you put him next to a rubber chicken as the show goes off the air. But regardless of how I feel about this whole stupid story now, finish the story. No, just finish the finishing of the story at this point. At this point, if he ever does get the title, we're going to clap in adulation because it's over. We're going to be more happy that it's over than Cody winning the title, sadly. And this is coming from a big Cody supporter. Even when he was in alternative entertainment wrestling, I supported that dude when people were turning their backs on him. From the jump when he came back from WWE. But one of my biggest pet peeves is the presentation that he puts on himself. WWE's not telling him to go out there in suits and smile all the time. He just does it. BC, it's who Cody is, man. I get it. A part of that maybe is why we like him, okay. But he's been the past several weeks just coming out in the wrestling gear and maybe a cutoff. And because that became a story last week, people were actually acknowledging that. Like, hey, Cody's coming down like an actual wrestler lately, like a face. This is good. It got so much traction, the story, that I think Cody's like, not so fast. I'm still the diplomat. I'm still the Cody Rhodes you can come to and ask political advice to. Or for. It's my pet peeve, man. Why the suits? Save that for heels, right? Well, like when Chris Jericho was this freaking heel, you just wanted to throw through a brick wall. He was always coming out with a suit. And that's when Jericho would talk like this, every word drawn out with space in between. I am the best in the world. You guys remember that, Jericho? You just wanted to throw him through a brick wall, but it worked. That's a heel. He was in his little suits. And Miz, for so many years, coming out in his little freaking suit, trying to degrade and berate the audience. Here's Cody Rhodes coming out in these pristine suits, and he's always smiling. Guys, days after laying down next to a rubber chicken and failing miserably at your story at WrestleMania of all places, this dude is smiling. Smiling. We know you care, but you also have to kind of act like you do, too. Play the part a little bit. Anyway, salute to McIntyre for calling that out. That was pretty badass. Stop smiling all the time like you're some beacon of light and stop wearing those damn suits. You're not running for office. I thought that was great. They had some back and forth, and then Cody just leaves the ring. Cody says, well, you want me to change, but this is my authentic self, and it's how I got to where I am, and this and that. And I'm going to keep wearing my suits, and I'm going to keep smiling, because that's how I look at life, man. I wake up, and the glass is always more than half full, not half empty. Paraphrasing, but something like that, right? A hoorah speech or whatever, and McIntyre's just not buying it. McIntyre was great. He's like, I used to be you. I used to do all this, and it doesn't work. So they had a nice back and forth, but then Cody just leaves the ring. So just like Drew and Punk from last week, they're just planting mini feuds to be implemented into the Royal Rumble. So I'm okay with it, actually, right? It's some level of caring about the Rumble. You're trying to set up all these little feuds and hoping that the crowd is kind of getting into it. Oh man, what if Cody and Drew come face to face inside the Rumble? Remember the promo from 2 weeks ago? Right, they're hoping that's what we're doing, but if it's not executed properly, are we really going to do that? There were some good words back and forth, and Cody just kind of leaves, and we go backstage to some, I don't know, maybe Tozowa's doing his Tozowa dance with Maxine. I don't know, we went backstage and did something stupid, and it's kind of like, all right. So Jinder Mahal, so far, first 23 minutes of the show. 23 minutes have gone by. Jinder Mahal pulls up in a limousine, and Cody Rhodes, Drew tells Cody to stop wearing his suits and stop smiling. No, that is my authentic self. And finally we go to commercial. So, this is what I mean, guys. When it sounds like I'm just nagging on something or ripping something apart, or I'm just, it's kind of, it's one of those things where if you just kind of think about it, right? The one question I always ask is, can we do better? A follow-up question would be, should we have done better? Yes, right? We know that. This is a billion-dollar conglomerate company. You can't get more creative. I mean, from top to bottom, we're going to go over this show, and you guys are going to see that this is pretty kindergarten stuff, right? This is like postie pad with a crayon booking. I mean, none of this is like you would sit back. When a WWE Raw goes off the air, usually, or SmackDown, you don't go, wow, man, WWE, they have some wildly, just phenomenally incredible writers working for that company. Like, I couldn't even begin to create what they create and write what they write. It's a good thing they got the best. It's a good thing Paul Levesque McMahon is just the most creative mind that WWE could possibly have, because these shows are just amazing, man. And they really are. And I'm just glad that that's the case, because I could never do what they're doing. You don't get that sense. Danny Dipshit Dugenheimer, who works at the local 7-Eleven, could write these Raws and SmackDowns. That's the problem. You can go an hour on the subject, but just nearly a half, and it was a half. When DIY, this was the first match of the night, DIY versus McDonutts and Dirty of the Day of Judgment. That was the first match of the night. And when they finally hit the bell for that match to start it, a half an hour was gone in the show. That's 1/6 of the show, and nothing happened. And by the way, if you're new to the channel, I'm actually a Jinder Mahal supporter too. But, I mean, okay, he showed up in a limo. For me, being a fan of Jinder Mahal, okay, yay for me. I know most people, they don't care about Mahal. You have to give them a reason to. Hopefully that's the case going forward. But I don't think that's going to be enough in the first half an hour to make them go, call up their friends or just be at the edge of their seat because Mahal showed up in a limousine. Or that Drew told Cody to stop wearing suits. So, okay, that's gone, the first half an hour. Let's get to the meat and bones of it, right? The first match of the night, DIY, McDonutts, and Dirty. There was a moment in this match where Tommaso and McDonutts just collided. It was a big botch. One thought the other was going to do something. The other guy who thought he was going to do something thought the other guy was going to do the other thing. And they just decided to, boom, just pancake one another. So they both drop like a stack of bricks right where they stood. Both just dropped. McDonutts just laid there like he was taking a nap. Tommaso is laying face first, screaming into the canvas for McDonutts to do something. Donuts is like, what? What? And Tommaso's screaming into the canvas. Finally, they collect themselves and they continue the match. But that was a big lull point, right? Or they just really got dinged up and they were really selling it. Like, really selling it. Because after that botch, it took a minute for them to regroup, and it looked like they didn't know where their starting point to pick back up again. They didn't know where it was. So that was the big hiccup in the match. Other than that, they were able, after commercial break, to get it back on track. DIY would win this match via pinfall off the meat in the middle finisher. This was Gargano pinning McDonutts. Now, poor Donuts, bro. Donuts, this poor dude has not won a televised match since September 4th's Monday Night Raw. September 4th, Monday Night Raw, the last time McDonutts won a televised WWE match. The match itself, aside from poor McDonutts, but it is the right call. I mean, he's one of those micro machine wrestlers. Good wrestler, but is he moving the needle? And if he wins 100 matches in a row, I'm asking, if he wins 100 matches in a row, is it really going to matter? If you give him incredible, immaculate booking, that'll help. But for now, he's the only guy in this match that should be taking that pin. It should not be Gargano, should not be Tommaso, and damn sure shouldn't be Dirty Dominic. He's already been collecting a lot of L's. A little too many as of late. Again, you want to look at Judgment Day as a legit faction top to bottom. You know, McDonutts, he's still like the guy on the outside looking in. He's kind of in, or he is in, but you kind of still look at him like he's on the outs. He's the guy to take the pin here. It's just, he's taking a lot of them. Good match. This was a good match. 19 minutes in length. Lots of spots. Lots. Fast-paced sequences. So, of course, the crowd did their stupid little, "This is awesome. This is awesome." There was a moment, guys, no joke. They did a fast-paced sequence, and then they all laid down, right? And they're like, oh, whew, all right, maybe we should all sell this now. So they do the spot where it's all fast-paced, and then everybody finally just lays down at once. It's like musical chairs, right? You didn't get knocked out, or you're not going to sell the 18 super kicks or the 14 Canadian destroyers, the suicide dive, thrown back into the ring, moonsault, 640, 220, 950 plancha splash. You're not going to sell all of that. All four of you, which, by the way, it turns into a tornado tag and the ref doesn't even care. You're not going to sell any of that. But at the exact moment, right, maybe the wind blows the wrong way and all four of you just fall down like musical chairs. The music stops, everybody take a seat. Everybody just gets flatlined. So it's fast-paced, everybody falls at once. And this is where the crowd always feels like they have to participate, right? They can't just be in tune with what they're watching. Right? Be enthralled by it if you're really loving it. But this is where they have to do the participation, right? This is where they have to win the best supporting role at the Emmys, right? That's when they don't know what to do with themselves, right? Because the match has hit a point where everybody is selling now. Everybody's laying down. So the audience is like... And then you'll always, it never fails. I knew this was going to happen. I just listened very closely, and about 5 people, it's almost like WWE hires these people. About 5 people at the same time will yell, "This is awesome!" Right? It's just like 5. And then the people around him are like, "Jim, did you hear him? This is awesome!" And then they join in. It's like 10 more people. And then all of a sudden, it's a lot of a section. And then and then you see the people that don't want to participate, right? You can literally see them on camera. They're like, oh boy, here we go, right? A lot of them probably amplified unit members. They watch BC. They know how I feel about these stupid chants. So they're like, oh boy, I hope BC doesn't. BC's watching this, man. I am not gonna. Oh boy, BC's not gonna like that. I'm not participating. Section 103, go fuck yourselves. I'm not participating. Nope, absolutely not. BC, I got you, bro. It's like Seth Rollins' sing-along. It gets me nauseous at this point, man. This is awesome. Used to be so much fun for matches like Michaels and Undertaker and just matches where it's the ultimate level of respect. Now we're giving it to everybody for every match just because you're putting out sequences. You want to show the respect, awesome, man. I just wish we had different chants. And as a wrestling community, we just don't have them. And I get it. But you see, they paid their money, man. They're just having fun. Everybody else is having fun without being stupid, man. It just takes the 5 individuals that don't know what to do with themselves. I don't know, the ADD kicks in, or whatever you want to call it, kicks in, and they feel like they have to do something. So they're like, what do we do? They're all laying down. Jim, you ready? This is awesome! This is awesome! Come on, everybody! Why aren't you participating? This is awesome! Oh, man. More coffee, BC. Other than that, though, man, it was a good match. It was a good match. At no point was BC at the edge of his seat going, "This is awesome," to the TV screen. And I assure you, if I was live, paid a ticket, I would not be participating with the "This is awesome" chant. I would never even picture myself doing that. If I even caught myself doing that, I would remove myself from the arena, find the nearest brick wall, and catapult Dome Piece first. Don't pass go. Don't collect the $200. catapult yourself headfirst to a brick wall. You will not catch BC ever doing a "this is awesome" chant. Goodness gracious, man. Anyway, that was the tag team match most likely of the night. The other tag team, the other matches, tag team matches anyway, they were rough. In fact, this, I have to get another sip. Wait till you hear this. This tag team match was next. This was to end the first hour. Candice LeRae and Indi Hartwell versus Piper Niven and Chelsea Green. I gotta get a sip of coffee. Hold on. So this matchup, LeRae and Hartwell versus Niven and Green. This was so really bad. Like, much love to all these ladies. Much love to all these ladies. Chelsea Green plays her role just beautifully. Indi Hartwell, I like Indi. Indi in NXT, she was just involved in some fun storylines. She did some really good work with Dexter Loomis, who you guys probably forgot about. He's on the milk carton somewhere. Levesque McMahon, we heard, just doesn't know what to do with him. And LeRae, I was never that big on, but, Johnny Gargano signed, and one of the conditions was, LeRae's going with him. But I'm okay. She's got a good base. I don't know. Indi Hartwell and Chelsea Green, though. Just immense potential. Piper Niven, I felt like there was a time where she was actually decent. Even for her size, she was pretty decent, I felt. And then, I don't know if it's just... I don't know if the booking just like took her confidence away or not, but Piper Niven is just not good anymore. And again, I felt at one time she was, or at least was decent, bare minimum. But Piper Niven, I don't know, guys. This was awful. I'm trying to find the right, I'm trying to find the right words. In a respectful way. This was a bad match, top to bottom. It looked like neither of them ever wrestled a match before. And the finish was just a complete botch, top to bottom. The finish saw Indi holding... Basically, Indi has Chelsea like on the second row. Kind of like, think of it like Randy Orton when he does the DDT and he's got his opponent's feet on the second rope and he's about to DDT them. Well, if the opponent was flipped over, right? So their feet are on the second rope, and Indi is holding Chelsea Green, but her back is to the canvas, if that makes sense. But she's being held up. And Chelsea Green Candice LeRae goes for a moonsault onto Chelsea while Indi is holding her up. So I hope I painted that picture correctly for you guys. So LeRae is going to hit the moonsault. The problem is she didn't hit the moonsault. She only connected with her feet. Only her feet hit Chelsea. This was the same. Sound familiar? Sounds like my Raw review from last week, right? It's because it's the same exact thing that happened last week to Chelsea Green, of all people. The same exact person, guys. Chelsea Green. And... for that match, it was Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. And they tried to hit their keg stand finisher. And only Chance's feet hit Chelsea Green last week. And they decided not to call an audible. They just went with with that finish. Even though it was only her feet that hit Chelsea. And that's enough to knock her out for the 3 count. Chance's feet hit Chelsea Green last week. And that was just a horrible finish. It was a botch. And then 1 week later, same exact thing. A moonsault by LeRae. Only her feet hit Chelsea Green. And that's the finish. They didn't even decide to call an audible. Just like last week. 1, 2, 3. Let's just get it done with. Is what Levesque McMahon was thinking. So... and then on top of that, guys, that wasn't even it. When I say it was a botched finish from top to bottom, that was just the top of it. The bottom of why this was a botched finish was because neither Indi or LeRae knew who the legal tag was. So they both made the cover on Chelsea. After the count of... and the ref doesn't even care, right? He's probably like, just get it over with. Levesque McMahon is probably telling him, just get it over with. So he's actually counting. It wasn't until after the count of 1 where Indy Hartwell was like, maybe I should get off. I don't think I'm the legal tag. So Indy catches herself and tries to quickly get off and out of the ring. The ref didn't. He just counted 3 anyway. But they didn't even know who was Indy just had a lapse, I guess, because I do believe that it was LeRae. I just want to go to hour 2 because if I just... I don't know what these matches are supposed to... Like, who is this benefiting, right? Who does this match benefit? It's not putting anybody into that ring that is going to wow anybody with their skill set. And you're already not booking them properly. Backstage, behind the scenes, promos, right? Their booking is more than far from off. So you're trying to tell the audience that this is going to be a captivating match. That's why we should care. All right, Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae versus Piper Niven and Chelsea Green. That better captivate us, HHH. And when it was all said and done, it did the opposite. Again, I ask, can we do better? What is Chelsea still doing with Piper Niven? It's done. They had their little title reign. Piper just declared herself champion, just took the title, and Adam Pearce was like, okay, you're champion now. Doesn't even make sense. They never got over, unfortunately. Chelsea's really good at her character, but they just never got over. And if you think it's going to be one of those comedy things where Piper actually accentuates Chelsea Green's character, which could have happened, they didn't book them that way. They just put him in these weird matches. And if you're going to put him in there with people like Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, who still, they look like they're lost in that ring. Are they the best dancing partners? I'm asking, because that was bad. That was rough. Hour number 2, right? Let's get back on trend. Maybe something good here, right? Gunther returned. Okay, the first hour was a waste. The only thing I'm going to remember, there is nothing. Drew telling Cody to stop wearing suits and stop smiling. That would be it. Oh, and you got a good wrestling match, DIY, in Judgment Day. Cool. All right, wrestling on a wrestling show. Everybody got to yell, this is awesome. Cool. Nothing I'd ever go back and watch in that first hour. Nothing that intrigued me for the Rumble, WrestleMania, nothing in that first hour. You were much better off watching the playoffs, Monday Night Football, or even the Emmy Awards. So hour 2, can we pick up some type of business here? Gunther returns. Okay, we all appreciate Gunther. We like Gunther. All right, let's see what he's gotten. So right, after all these weeks off, they got to have something really big planned, right? This is going to be a big segment. Gunther starts hour 2, and this segment did nothing but build up to a Ludwig build up. Can't even say that. It set up a Ludwig Kaiser versus Xavier Woods match for right after the commercial break. That was it. You have Gunther's been out for this many weeks, and that's the best return you have for him? Guys, there was nothing. He may have declared himself eligible for the Rumble. I truly didn't even hear that. I was just hearing wah, wah, wah. It was going in one ear, out the other. I don't even know what he was saying. It was just nonsense. He was saying nothing of relevance. And before you knew it, Xavier comes down and just wants a match with Ludwig. We go to commercial. We come back. Gunther is out of the ring, and we have a match with Woods and Kaiser. That's Gunther's big promoted return after weeks? Again, I ask, can we do better? And the subsequent question, should we do better? For the match itself, Woods was disqualified. Kaiser defeats Woods via disqualification. Woods uses a commentator's chair to handle business. The ref says, you can't handle business that way. DQ. So Woods is DQ'd. They would brawl post-match, kind of like what Kofi did with Ludwig. What was it, last week? whether 2 weeks ago, something like that. They had the brawl, the pull-apart brawl where Jason Jordan, Jamie Noble, all these backstage producers and referees are breaking them up. You would think this is like a Brock Lesnar, like Roman Reigns WrestleMania build, and they got the pull-them-apart brawl. They did that with Kofi, Kingston, and Kaiser. This week, they have Xavier Woods and Kaiser brawling into the crowd. Listen, I gotta say, more serious Woods, please. Thank you. A serious Wood. I said this about Miz. I've said this about Riddle. It's good to see them when they're more serious. You just have to break apart from the 24/7 comedy. The New Day worked. For many years it worked. Awesome. It is beyond stale now. Watching Xavier Woods tour around the ring, blowing on his trumpet and gyrating and doing whatever he does, that shtick after nearly 10 years, it's old, man. It's been old. So to see a serious Woods, man, he was bleeding from the mouth. He's freaking hitting people with commentators' chairs. He's mean mugging. There was no trumpet playing. There was no gyrating. This was just a pissed off Xavier Woods. I didn't mind that at all. I'll take that. Bronson Reed is then backstage. Bronson Reed gives a menacing promo. Okay, now where do I go with this? So Bronson gives a menacing promo. He is saying that, and this is basically a quote, slight paraphrase maybe, but he says, there is a man with a championship in WWE that has no idea that title is going to him. So in other words, there's a champion that just doesn't know that I'm going to get that title. Bro, how about you just concentrate on winning matches consecutively first, right? Consistently. We're talking about titles for Bronson Reed right now. This is the old playoffs interview, right? Playoffs. Remember the old, it was Coach Mora, if you guys don't know, NFL. I think he was the coach for the Colts at the time. And they were just in a losing streak. He's struggling to find victories. So one game after the game, he's at the podium for the press. And one of the questions was, well, do you think this is going to affect your chances to get into the playoffs? And Coach Moore is like, playoffs? Playoffs? We're just trying to win a game. You're talking about playoffs? It was one of the funniest question/responses you'll ever see in sports history. His voice just went up to a whole nother octane. Playoffs? We're trying to win a game. You're talking about playoffs? Bro, it's the same thing here with Bronson. Same thing. This dude Bronson is talking about titles. Titles? You should just concentrate on winning matches. You're talking about titles? Do you guys know that Bronson Reed has only 6 victories in his last 21 matches? Now, Bronson's a big beast, right? You would think he would be booked that way. If Bronson loses a match, maybe it's like 1 out of every 30 or 40. Bronson loses way more than he wins. If you're wondering, 6 of 21, that's basically, top of my dome piece if I do my Steiner math, that's approximately a winning percentage of 28. Bronson Reed, if you just take his last 21 matches I'm just dating back to like September, October timeframe. So several months ago, as that is a beginning point. Last 21 matches, 6 of 21. This dude has a winning percentage of 28. At 28% winning percentage. Bronson Reed. And you're talking about titles. There's a guy with a title and I'm going to win it. Maybe you should start with like Tozowa. Start there. Work your way up to maybe an R-Truth. What are they doing? H. He just does all this weird stuff and is he thinking first? I have no idea. It never seems like this dude is thinking correctly. Tozowa. Oh, the show just gets better. Tozowa then defeats Ivar. If you didn't watch the show, you just said, what, BC, did you say little teeny tiny Tozowa defeated Ivar? Like the big Viking guy? Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. This was via pinfall off the sunset flip powerbomb from the second turnbuckle. is it absolutely absurd that teeny tiny Tozowa would defeat via pinfall an 18-wheeler like Ivar? Yes, the answer is a resounding yes. That is absolutely absurd. But the way that they set it up was an artistic masterpiece because they had MaxiPad, little Maxine. Yeah, Maxine. They had her hop up on the apron for the finish and shake her booty. And the camera was right there, man. I'm glad. Like Kevin Dunn was a little bit too PG for me, right? He was this dude was, he didn't want to go certain places. But the new production, they already had camera C already right there. What was that? Actually, that was camera B. I think they got the promotion on that one. Camera B was on her. Anyway, camera B is just right on her ass. And she's up on the apron. You can see, it was beautiful. Great view. And she just starts shaking. And Ivar's like, shit, all right. But his girl, Van Halen, is on the outside. And she's like, hey, man, what am I, chopped liver? So MaxiPad is shaking her buns, her booyakas. And I guess that sets up the distraction. I don't know. Listen, because I got to see MaxiPad shake her tangerines a little bit, not these, the other ones, I'm okay with it. That's right. Because that's the finish for BC. See what I did there? So anyway, Ivar and Van Halen would destroy Tiny Tozowa and MaxiPad post-match, so it doesn't look like they lost, right? Yes, they lost, but see, you're not going to remember that because the heels beat up the faces afterwards, right? Tozowa and MaxiPad didn't look like they're winners. Van Halen and Ivar were the last ones standing. I see what you did there, WWE. The old 50-50 booking. That would end hour 2. Woods versus Kaiser. Bronson Reed wants a title. And Tozowa and Ivar. That was it. And then a bunch of filler guys. And we were already hour 3. I shouldn't say already. The show was dragging. This was Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. Or not verse. Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch started hour 3. In-ring face-to-face promo. Becky says, and I quote, I think you may be better than me, but I have to prove that you're not. So I have to win the Royal Rumble so I can face you at WrestleMania. So she's making no bones about it, right? Usually they have the decision, right? Whoever wins the Rumble for like a couple weeks, they're like, they have to decide what champion they want. Becky's already saying, I want you. To which Rhea responds, and I quote, there's only one person that wants you to win the Royal Rumble more than you, and that's me. I'll see you at WrestleMania. And she walks off. So they already planted the seeds. If you guys caught my live stream yesterday, the biggest focal point of yesterday's stream is because the latest Vegas odds, the betting odds for the Royal Rumble, they're out. Just less than 2 weeks away from the Rumble. The Vegas betting odds, this is the most insider information we have. Becky Lynch is the overwhelming favorite to win the Rumble as we speak. And I told you guys that. I broke that to you guys yesterday. Live on the air. Becky Lynch, I told you guys. Here you are. Hours after that live stream, Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley are already setting up their match. I'm okay with it. I just hope the story's good if that's the way they're going to go. Becky Lynch winning the Rumble isn't as... It's anticlimactic for BC. I'm sure there's big Becky Lynch fans that are going to love it. I'm sure there's other fans that are going to be more than okay with it, even if they're not big Becky fans. I just think the Rumble, all of this pop and circumstance, all of the hoopla, all of the Rumble, the surprise entrance, everything, all for it to end with Becky Lynch at the end, it's anticlimactic for me. But if you got a good story that you're waiting to tell, I'll be on board with it. And it's Becky Rhea. I'm not saying it won't be a good match. It's just if I'm booking the Rumble, I'm not having Becky win it. I'm going to tell you guys that right now. You could still do Ripley and Becky, by the way. I'm probably not setting it up that way. You guys saw last night, you could set that up without a Rumble victory, right? You could easily set up Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch for Mania, and we would be on board. We'll be on board with the story. The match should be good. You don't need to waste a Rumble victory on that because you're already planting the seeds. It's already setting up. It's just not needed. That's the same reason people are like, oh, well, The Rock can win the Rumble, and that's how we can get the... No, he doesn't need to. No way should The Rock win the Rumble. Absolutely not. That's not needed. You already planted the seeds. Have somebody else win it. Have Punk win it to go for Sethington or something else, man. But I didn't mind the face-to-face. It just sets up a lot of questions, right? It just has to be done correctly. That's all we say, man. But I did put that stream out, and I was like, well, I was actually a little shocked that Becky Lynch was in the top spot to be the odds-on favorite. So I reported that news to you guys, and hours later, they already are setting it up. Balor and Priest would defeat Miz and R-Truth via pinfall. Priest hits South of Heaven on Truth, and Balor scores the overall pin. Baszler and Stark then defeat Nattie and Knox via submission. Baszler taps out Nattie. This is what I mean, guys. R-Truth and Miz, this is the third hour. You waited over 2 hours for this. R-Truth and Miz, the awesome truth in tag action. Baszler and Stark versus Nattie and Knox in an amazing rematch, because we have to see Tegan Knox and Nattie Neidhart versus Stark and Baszler in a 4-minute match with Nattie tapping out yet again. Rollins and Mahal in the main event. Finally, to the end of this show. Swig a coffee. So, with this match, Jinder Mahal came down with Inda Sheer. So they played like the deck was stacked against Rollins from the get-go, and then all of a sudden Damian Priest also comes to ringside with his little briefcase that says like Senior Money in the Bank. Or how can you make Damian Priest more corny? Senior Money in the Bank. Put that on the briefcase. Like who thought that would be a good idea? When you put that on the t-shirt and nobody bought it, wasn't that kind of telling you maybe that doesn't work? Anyway, so you go to, and I like Damian Priest a lot, but man, marketing matters, man. Gotta make the guy cool. So the deck is stacked, right? You have Inda Sheer, you have Damian Priest down there, and of course his opponent Jinder Mahal. So we go to commercial break with Rollins in pretty much the center of the storm, right in the middle of the beehive. Come back from commercial break. Actually a good match. You had all the bells and whistles, yes. You even had Drew McIntyre like go face-to-face with Priest, and then they start brawling. Inda Sheer is causing a distraction and then getting like thrown out. So you had all these little bells and whistles to really get the crowd even more engaged, and it made the match fun. Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest just going at it, though. It devalues and dilutes everything that McIntyre has just changed about himself. Going after more heels. And they set that match up for next week. You're going to see Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. Well, the crowd is going to feel restless and useless, so they're going to cheer for somebody, right? They're going to feel like they have to. So they're going to cheer for Drew McIntyre. And then everything this edge to Drew, it's gone. This tweener stuff is not going to work. It's not going to make him more cool. It sucks, man. Commit to the heel turn. I don't understand if HHH just doesn't think he can commit to it. If he's just not going to be a good heel because he's such a real-life good dude. Or does McIntyre just feel like he can't commit to it because he's such a good dude? Or does he just, like John Cena, just does not want to do it just all out? I'm a heel now. I don't like it at all. I want to really get behind Drew. I know as a diabolical heel, it could be a lot of fun. Anyway, so they set that up in this match. That'll be for next week. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. Anyway, for this match, Toward the end of it, it looked like Seth Rollins actually tweaked his knee. Absolutely, this could just be a full work. But I mean, everything, you could see the ref going to his black box. You could see Rollins on the simplest of things, like just something wasn't right. And the way that he injured it, it was off of he basically did a springboard from the outside to the inside, right into a subsequent second rope moonsault. So it was a back-to-back sequence. And it looked like he tweaked it on the first springboard because he was very slow going into the second rope moonsault. And after that, he basically landed on that same leg. And it looked like he was just rough at that point. Michael Cole called it out. The referee actually was talking to him on his black box. And Jinder Mahal, you could see kind of like looking toward Rollins, like waiting for a word from the ref. Like, what are we doing? Rollins still wants to continue. Could it be a work? Yeah, it would be an immaculate work because even the referee had to like check the black, like talk to him, report back to HHH. But it looked like it was actually tweaked. And then the rest of the match, it was just favoring that even when it went above just selling it, is what I would say. It actually took away from the match because there was points where Rollins actually had to kind of go into high. Again, if this was like Mahal taking out his leg or a spot where you could see he blew out his leg, right? For the story, right? Like he jumps from the top rope and he lands on his leg awkwardly, right? But he's fine. But for storyline, he hurt his leg. No, this was like nobody saw how it happened. It was off of the springboard in the moonsault. So it wasn't anything where the casual fan would even think there's a leg injury. And once he hit the pedigree or tried to, it looked like he extended it and then he was just even more effed up. And when he went for the stomp, he wouldn't even land on that leg. Right leg stomp and his left leg just kind of tucked and he kind of fell like that. So the point is, guys, it's very early in the morning. I haven't seen any reports or anything. Maybe you guys know more than I do at this point. But there is a massive chance anyway. It's very early. I will do more research. But it looked like that could be a legitimate injury. Again, if Rollins were just selling awesome, it's just the one time it really didn't need to be oversold, a leg injury, is the one time that we have awesome selling. I don't know. It wasn't needed in that spot. So that would just be awkward, and that's another reason why I believe this could be a legitimate injury. If so, we wish Seth Rollins the very best. I hope it doesn't take him out of wrestling. Could you imagine that, bro? You're the champion. You have a big match at Mania. So I'm hoping this is just storyline, but he could be legitimately injured. And if that's the case, then we hope it's just nothing serious. This guy, it's not just a tagline. He is a workhorse, man. I mean, this guy is busting his ass, and if you ever go to like live events and you see this dude, he does not let up. He doesn't just go, oh, it's a live event, I can take this off. This guy is going to give every crowd 165%. He would give you 200, but he's already banged up, the poor guy. I mean, he can't stack up any more injuries. We're hearing that after Mania, he's going to take off for a while, try to get healed up. I can't imagine him collecting another injury right before Mania. So we hope that's not the case. I just saw a lot of things, man, and I know how to critique wrestling. I dissect it. I look at the referee and the black box and talking to HHH and Gorilla and how he's talking to the wrestler who could be injured. I look at all these things. I watch it back. I look at all these intricacies, and this could be legitimate. So I'll do more research and look into it. But we hope the best. But yes, the finish was actually really well done. Rollins gets hit in the dome piece with, I think, the briefcase. Was that Damien who had it? Obviously, it's his briefcase, probably. Indushear, were they kicked out of it? I thought Indushear hit him. I forget, somebody hits him with a briefcase. And it goes right into a Colossus, which is how he beat Randy Orton and became champion many moons ago. So, I mean, there was a chance. I was like, oh my God, is Mahal winning this? Because that's a perfect finish, right? Briefcase to the dome piece, Colossus, you're done. The crowd was on their feet. Everybody was actually counting. 1, 2. Even if they don't like Mahal, they were about to pop. Nobody can tell me any different, man. people were into that match at that point for sure. And if Mahal won, there was going to be like a reaction, bro. Whether positive or negative, people were counting. This was a big moment. They really thought Rollins was losing that title. Moments later, a stomp defeats Jinder Mahal. Seth Rollins retains. They ran out of time, and the show just went off the air, and Rollins wouldn't even get up. He was just like, fuck. He was just like, shit. And right when he won this match, they went to a wide shot of the entire arena, and they faded into that shot. And right as they were fading in, you could see Rollins telling the ref something, because the ref is supposed to tell Rollins, get up, look at the hard cap. Rollins is like telling the ref, I ain't getting up, bro. You could see them talking like something, and then all of a sudden we faded to the wide shot. Moments later, we went off the air with Monday Night Raw. So, as a Jinder Mahal supporter, I dug that main event. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys were interested into this match, because it was actually well done. It was well produced. I'll find out who the producer of the match was, but it was well produced. You had the bells and whistles. People were into it. The crowd was on their feet. Everybody was counting when Mahal was about to win this title. And again, the finish itself, the briefcase, the Colossus, and then the style, it was all well done. We just hope that Rollins is good, obviously. Aside from that main event, another Cruise Control show where we just put a bunch of tag team matches in there, a Tozowa match, and we called it a day. Next week, we're going to have a face-to-face promo, CM Punk, Cody. They're going to just keep doing this, guys. This is how HHH is going to promote Royal Rumble. This is his big creative booking. You're getting a glimpse the last 2 weeks, and you're going to get it next week. He's just kind of taking some of the big names and having them say, well, I'm going to win. No, I'm going to win, right? You saw it with Punk and Drew McIntyre last week. You saw it with Drew and Cody this week. And next week, you're going to see Cody, Punk, and probably Drew, by the way. Even though he's got a match with Damian Priest, Drew will probably enter this promo. It'll be a three-way promo, so at least you have a kind of a heelish guy in there with the two faces. Maybe it'll set up a tag team match. Maybe Drew will have to tag up with Damian to take on Cody and Punk. I'll be more into that at least, because Drew would be more of the heel. But this is what HHH wants to do. He's like, listen, I don't know. I don't want to get creative. I don't have a creative decision to make right now. I don't have any creative juices flowing. Let's just have these little promos, and they'll each just tell each other, I'm going to win for these reasons, and hope that sells the Rumble. I probably would have had a lot more fun with this. Most likely. I'd be a lot more creative. I'd be having a lot of fun with these individuals, man. Setting up actual mini feuds for the Rumble. But this show, man, Cruise Control, this is the fourth show in a row. SmackDown, then Raw, then SmackDown, and now Raw. 2 SmackDowns and 2 Raws. 4 straight shows, Cruise Control. I don't see any signs that SmackDown is going to finally turn the corner. It looks like we are literally on cruise control going to Tropicana Field, Tampa Bay, Florida, St. Petersburg. You call it cruise control. I call it limping into the Royal Rumble. Doesn't have to be that way, man. Even Vincent Kennedy McMahon had a lot more life and fun put into the shows going into the Rumble, right? Even VKM had more life than this going into the Rumble. And with the roster they have and the potential Mania matches like Rock, Roman, Punk, Rollins, there's no reason that we're limping into the Rumble. Until next time, and there will be that next time. Top guys, we are out. BC saying check you. Peace. Salute, guys.